So yeah, that happened. Masters of the Universe, released in 1987 and directed by Gary Goddard. Production budget of 22 million, a domestic take of 17 million, no recorded international take, for a total of 17 million, for a loss of $4 million. Of course, doesn't include marketing and all associated costs, so it lost a lot more than this. Starring Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella, Meg Foster, Billy Barty, Courtney Cox, John Cypher, Chelsea Fields, James Tolkien, and Robert Duncan McNeil. A whole lot of people for not a lot of movie. Characters. Okay, they weren't great at all, actually. The lead character is a dud. He-Man, the titular character for this series, was really quite... well, he was actually the worst character in the film. It was pretty much scenery, really. So the top three characters in this movie are Skeletor, Detective Lupic, and Man-at-Arms. Everyone else just is everything from okay-ish to flat-out horrible. He-Man being at the horrible end of the scale. I mean, there's just nothing to recommend these characters, nothing that made you want to care about anybody, really, in this show. The teenage couple on Earth, they were there as a plot device. They forwarded the vehicle of the story, but you didn't give a stuff about them. You really didn't. Let's see, the henchmen, they were there and they were very Power Rangers campy bad. You're kind of hoping they'd die. Having them die would have counted as character development, I think. Evelyn was a mannequin. Gwill or Gwildor or whatever his name was. I think he was meant to be the comic relief. Not really. No. I suppose Teela was doing her best, but at no stage did she seem comfortable with either the lines or the acting or the anything. She felt really uncomfortable to be there. I don't think she wanted to be. And back to He-Man, he just looked bored. He really did. Or stoned. Maybe he was stoned and bored. Maybe that's how Dolph Lundgren got through this movie. There it is. That's the default expression for most of this film. That's how he looks. The only real person you wanted to see more of was Skeletor. He was really getting into this role. He was obviously having the most fun on set. In fact, the parallels between this movie and Flash Gordon are very strong. You got a boring lead actor and the villain who's really enjoying himself. And then everyone else you don't really care about. Yeah, the parallels are very, very strong. I could keep going, but you get the idea. Characters are going to get a 1.75, I'm afraid. Only Skeletor propped this up. The technically dead guy is the only one with any life in them. Haha. Story, well, it's kind of familiar. It's very tried and true sci-fi fantasy concept. There's nothing really new there. In fact, this whole storyline, this whole thing has been done quite a few times, and it was a very common one on a lot of the TV shows at the time. In fact, this almost exact storyline was used in a two-parter Wonder Woman episode. If you used this exact template for a remake, a modern remake, probably be really quite fun to watch. It was enough to keep you basically interested. It's just everything else that was wrapped around it detracted badly. But then on the other side of the coin, the main story point, the main MacGuffin, the MacGuffin chase was completely peripheral to the actual events of the film. Skeletor was going to drain the power from a sorceress, get imbued with the ultimate cosmic energy, and still be the most powerful being in the universe no matter what happened on Earth. No matter what happened with the primary storyline, it was still going to play out the same. Skeletor never needed to go chasing this MacGuffin. All he had to do was sit back and wait. And everything would have come to him exactly the same. Sure, the heroes might have figured out how to get back earlier, but he was prepared for that. Or the heroes may have never come back. He would have been happy with that too. The only reason he went chasing after this thing is because of his obsession with He-Man and wanting to make him a slave. The main stories were quite literally just a loose end. It was just something to be tied up at Skeletor's leisure. It is also, however, a very good example of a side quest ruining the main storyline and having all your player characters, having all the heroes end up at the wrong place at the worst possible time to do the most amount of damage to the main villain's arc. In that respect, it's kind of funny. If he left it alone, it probably wouldn't have come back to bite him. But because he fiddled with it, it ruined everything. Skeletor lost because he's a level completionist. If he just killed He-Man the moment he had him, all this would have gone away. But it's the usual villain trope. Gotta gloat. Gotta make the hero kneel. Can't just deal with it and move along. No. Gotta get his ego stroked. And oh, well, it got him killed, didn't it? Actually, killing off He-Man when he had him in chains would have also probably improved the acting caliber in the entire room. Dialogue, acting, screen presence, the whole thing would have been better with He-Man dead on the floor. I'm not going to bother you telling you about the story too much because it's a MacGuffin hunt, really. There's a thing. The bad guy wants the thing. The good guys need the thing. Everyone's chasing the thing. They get the thing to work. There's a whole bunch of shenanigans on Earth with the detective and the humans and the whole fish out of water story, which they never really look into at all. Heroes activate the thing. They come back and beat the bad guy because of the thing. Then the thing gets ignored because ultimately it wasn't that important. Look, as a score, I was about to give this a 2 because while it's bad, it's not absolutely horrible, but the more I think about it, the less important the entire plotline becomes to the actual event. See, I'm going to give that a 1.75 as well. Doesn't make me mad, just doesn't need to be there at all. Really. Look and feel. Okay, surprise, surprise. This is not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Actually, it looks like Flash Gordon with a budget. It's got a strong Star Wars vibe, particularly in the music. The way it's scored is so Star Wars. John Williams might be able to sue for this. Down to the props, some of the lighting panels, some of the camera angle shots. You can't copyright a camera shot, but you can copy one to the point where it makes you think of other better movies. There's a lot more effort in the sets in this one. There's a lot of work has been done in all of the sets and the locations. They look like, you know, high-end TV quality. Nothing looks like the wall's gonna fall over and reveal a parking garage, all right? Costumes, the uniforms are mostly okay. They only fall down in a couple of key areas. One is He-Man. I mean, I suppose he's cartoon and toy accurate, but really. And the fact that every now and then he's glossy, out of nowhere, he's suddenly very oiled. Very clearly between takes, someone's got out there with a baby oil and re-glistened Mr. Lundgren. Skeletor's face mask really does look like a latex face mask. It detracts, but the actor does such a good job at being a very campy guy underneath. You just kind of roll with it. Funnily enough, it doesn't stand out anywhere near as much as it should have. Most of the special effects aren't eye-bleedingly bad. They are very stand out, they're very much drawn on laser beams, but at least the explosions look real, and when they blow things up, they really blow things up. This isn't like Star Wars or Star Trek where there's pew-pew and there's a little mark on the wall. Nah, you miss a shot with one of these laser cannons, there's a hole in the wall and everything's on fire. And man, they set a lot of things on fire. There's one particular outdoor set that I've seen in so many different TV shows. In fact, there's one shot where they're standing there by this one particular tree, and it's in the exact way and the exact angle that they used in Wonder Woman, in MacGyver, and in a Mission Impossible episode. The henchmen look particularly henchy. I did in mine. No, these guys. These henchmen. It's somewhere between, you know, Vipers from Cobra and the Gunners from Star Wars, and it worked. You know, it wasn't bad at all. They died in their droves, but they're meant to. These guys, not so keen on. They just suck. This Muppet as the main henchman, he is just, his voice, the makeup, everything about him, just annoying to watch. The only interesting henchman they actually killed off, which annoyed me. And the background extra from Mad Max? Yeah, right. Could have done without him too. I did smile at Skeletor's floating battle throne. That actually looked pretty darn good. For a physical prop shot at night in some backlot somewhere, I didn't mind that. And they used some clever little camera tricks to make it as believable as possible. At the end of the day, the score is going to be a 2.25 because, like I said, it's not great, but, you know, it's consistent. It actually looks a lot better than some of the other ones of this time period, and they seem to spend the money where it counted. 2.25 because they tried real hard. Script and dialogue. What the hell was that? Not good. Not good at all. Every time Dolph Lundgren opened his mouth, you wish that He-Man was a mute. The less he talked, the better the movie was. Again, the only three people that seemed comfortable or delivering their lines in any way that felt realistic or sensible or just practiced were Skeletor, Lupic, and Man-at-Arms. In fact, Man-at-Arms was very casual in his delivery. As far as that goes, he's probably one of the best. Everyone else, stale, wooden, rote delivery. I got nothing. It just painful to watch at times. Every time some of these characters spoke, it's like a stab in the brain. Only really funny lines came from Man-at-Arms, and again, I think they're only comparatively funny because nothing else was working. Frank Langella was clearly giving 110%, if not 120% of what he could do for this. Looked up online, actually, he had a ball. He had the best time, and it shows. It really does show. I mean, other people are having a good time, and that also shows. And I don't know what happened. For the first time, He-Man encounters Julie? Yeah, the first time He-Man encounters Julie, it's a major pitched battle, and she seems to be very accepting of the alien muscle-bound lunatic with a sword and a blaster cannon. She just seems to go with this. There is no real reaction of, wow, this is amazing. This is like, okay, you're here to save me. Okay, all right, you're big. Oh, you've saved me. Isn't that wonderful? I'll go along with you on your adventure. She just buys into everything so quickly. I'm pretty sure there must be some missing scenes here. Because she was freaking out about everything else, and then this dude, she's like, oh, okay. He's a dude with a loincloth and a great big sword. I'm in. That was it. The only realistic reactions to this mess was Charlie, Lupic, and whatever the main boyfriend's name was. Those three seem to react accordingly, which is largely panic. But on the whole, the dialogue in this movie is just trash. You just don't like it. You keep wanting to go back to Skeletor and watch him have a good time. Because everyone else sucked. Apart from Lupic, apart from Man-at-Arms. Sometimes. You can't really pick on too much about the action scenes and the choreography. I mean, it's the usual thing. 3 heroes are worth about 300 dead enemy soldiers. That's the standard, usual thing in this. They're dropping like stormtroopers. Although there were some strange choices, like Evelyn and her henchmen are just watching what's happening at the end and go, now we're out, and just leave. They just pack up and bail. I don't understand why they left. They don't give you any reason why they left. They just suddenly leave. And if you're trying to read her face, she got the same face for the whole movie, which is bored indifference. There was no tells there. And at the very end, for no given reason at all, Lupix decided to stay. And he's sitting up like he's some sort of advisor. He's right next to the throne with some beautiful woman on his side. As if somewhere in between the final fight, there's been 3 months of them doing whatever they're doing, and there's some grand adventure they're much more interested in than this movie actually delivered, and there he is as some sort of prince. What happened there? I want to know that story. Stuff the rest of this rubbish. Tell me what happened there. Give me that movie. Bugs me when I get the feeling that all the interesting stuff happened off screen. Yeah, score for this. Look, script and dialogue is going to get a 1.5. It'll be lower, much lower. Except Skeletor was having fun, and I like Lupic carrying on. Other than that, it's a bit of a waste of time. Fun factor, yeah, not really. Look, I was checking my watch every now and then. I kept wondering when this is going to be done. I did smile a couple of times. There were some things that I liked from a purely aesthetic point of view, from purely reminiscing about the cartoon show, or admiring a good shot, or just the way they set some things up. I did enjoy that. But at the movie itself, as a story, as a movie, as an event, no, I didn't have fun. I really didn't have much fun at all. So look, fun factor's gonna get a 2. Alright, it just isn't really worth your time. Unless you're specifically wanting to sit down and look at this era. If you're wanting to watch movies like this, and Flash Gordon, and some of the other stuff from this time period, then yeah, it's absolutely worth your time as an example of what you can do if you put a bit more focus on your design, put a bit more money into the concept. But if you're actually looking for a movie to sit down and enjoy, there are so many better options. Pick one of those. So final score, well, you add all these up, you end up with a 9.25. Yeah, 9.25. I think I've adjusted some of my scores as I've gone through this review because it just kept making me cranky. So if I'm wrong, I'll put the actual score here. Otherwise, 9.25, because this really is a waste of your time. As a $7 discount movie, I think I spent $5 too much. Anyhow, there's my review of Masters of the Universe. Have you seen this travesty? What did you think of it? I mean, I can see how people probably would enjoy this movie just because they know it's bad and they're in there for the bad ride. But really, there are better things to do. Anyway, feel free to jump in the comments below or on the Facebook page and defend this film if you like, or agree with me, because clearly I'm right. Please like, share and subscribe, but most importantly, I hope you're having a great week and that you make some time to go and watch a movie.